We're going to move briskly along and just have this conversation for the next 45 minutes with the people who are at the top of their game. If you haven't heard of these people, you will be really pleased that you managed to take the time to hang out with them on stage today, because on the stage today, Wunderkind, Breaking Biases and Boundaries, we're not here to talk about work-life balance. We're not here to talk about, how difficult it was for us to get dressed in the morning, to come out, because the battles that these people on stage with me have had to put themselves through in order to win themselves that seat at the table has been intense. And I am so proud to be on the stage with these amazing people. There are leaders in their industries. They are people who have fascinating stories, and we're going to see whether we can get some of these stories out for you today. So should I introduce everyone once more, or should we just let them? I think we'll just let them do it. Okay. So in 10 words or less. Can one. Sam is panicking, but this is the curveball, right? In 10 words or less. Who are you? What do you do? And why should they care?
I can't do that in 10 words.
Okay, we'll give you 15. 15 words.
So generous. I'm a visual artist. Started out in street art, and my mic is not working.
I know, it likes you too much. It's phasing.
I identify as transgender.
Very cool.
Here we go.
Very nice. So Sam Low, we have Sharon. So 10 to 15 words. Who are you? What do you do? Why should they care? Okay, we will wait for the microphone to come on. Okay, we need to. Did we? Okay, yeah, we can just share it. We can share. COVID is not a thing anymore. It's fine.
Hi, I'm Shireen. Loud now.
Love it.
I'm founder and creative director of Lank, and I do interior design.
The interior design firm Lank, Sharon. Very nice. All right, Jenny. We're gonna keep trying it until it works. Woo! Okay, word to the wise, right? When we pet the top, the mic doesn't like it. Boys might lah, but this mic don't like lah. Doesn't work.
It doesn't work.
Oh, there we go. We've got one on.
Thank you. My name is Hia Jenny. I'm a tattoo artist based in Korea, and so.
Phenomenal. So all the way from South Korea, we have the brightest, literally brightest, we'll come to that, tattoo artist in our modern age. Here, Jenny. Thank you, Jenny. And Tiffany?
I'm Tiffany, and I'm an illustrator of, I guess I illustrate just in different assets.
Very cool.
That's like the best I can do.
So you're an illustrator, but that's not the only string in your bow, right?
Different types of illustration.
Yes, so lots going on. We will unpack that as we go. And we've got the most famous one in the corner, last and least.
That's so stressful.
Awkward. Like, okay. I'm sure we've all watched her on Netflix already, so.
Okay, so I don't have to say that part.
I
Okay,
know,
thanks.
so we know her, but for 15 words, let's go.
Okay, I'm a creative. Create anything that has to do with mostly fashion, watch or jewelry, and then I just launched a creative agency.
Congratulations. What's the
Thank
creative
you.
agency called?
Sorry?
Must tell people what is
Oh,
the
the
name
creative agency is called Magic System.
Magic
Yeah.
System. So like write that one down. If you're in the market for that, that's what you want to be looking at. So we've got a whole bunch of different industries, both in visual art, in personal human art, in design, in fitness, all these aspects, right, that make cultural relevance resonate on this stage. So we're just going to see what sort of inspirations these people had, what sort of life lessons they might have, and what sort of advice they might have for people who are interested in taking their first baby steps into these industries where you have begun your conquest. You have not finished it, but you have begun it, because I think it's an ongoing thing, right? Whenever you've got movements to make. So, game changers on the stage. What was the reason that you guys decided to build this confidence, this resilience in order to get into this industry that you're in right now? I'm going to throw this question first to May. We're going to move from the back. Don't worry, you'll know. I will make frantic eye contact before I throw you a question. So frantic eye contact to May. How did you build the confidence to get into this multifaceted career that you've chosen for yourself?
I feel like with a lot of things, it's really a bit like trial and error. You know, you keep
Yep.
falling down and then you just pick yourself back up. And that's the fastest, the most efficient way to learn. And so far, that's been putting me at where I set my mind to it. And then
Right.
you just keep trying, you know. I mean, there's no other better way to learn it. Yeah.
Okay, so learn by doing. The kinesthetic learners in the audience completely identify with that. I'm going to throw that to Tiffany. Same question. How did you get this resilience, this confidence?
Along with the keep on trying, it's
Yes.
also, I think, experience. So just really putting yourself out there, just kind of starting and keep on making the same mistakes and stuff like that. And I think with time,
Yes.
you build that confidence.
So I know that for your industry, you were a fine art student. And so it's sort of, would you say that that sort of background, going from a training in fine art into your illustrator persona right now, has that helped you?
It has been a very different journey. I
Yeah.
think at the start, I kind of wanted to create art for myself.
Yes.
But then I think I kind of lost myself in that and realized that if I were to create art for people, to help people speak through these illustrations,
Yes.
that meant a lot more to me.
Fantastic. Okay, so the next person I want to ask this question to is Sam. So you, Tiffany, had a background in fine art. Sam, you studied food and nutrition.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
so
pretty much I did.
How did that work out? Like to go from like food to all the wonderful things that you do. So how did you build that confidence, that sort of resilience, that background?
You know, honestly, like, I low-key regret telling you I actually did food science and nutrition.
Oh no, it's fine. I also checked up everyone. I stalked everyone.
No,
so
but I get it. No, honestly, like, you know, that was like not my highest point of my life, but
Okay.
I did learn a lot.
Right.
But what got me here today, I think, is just about making space for yourself to represent in that respect. I think that was so important. I mean, I think that confidence really came about because it felt like we had no choice but to
Yeah.
take that space back for ourselves. So, in that respect, it's just being there, I guess.
And that's challenging, right? So to be able to have that sort of grit and say, all right, no one is giving me a place through the door, so let's just like bang down the
Yeah.
wall and create one of our own.
Yeah.
I'm going to throw the next question to Jenny. All right, so Jenny, what are the most common misconceptions that people have about you and your industry? And then I'll tag on that bonus question we talked about.
Can I?
Yeah,
can I
please.
read the paper?
So
Okay.
it's fine. There's been prep done because there's a language barrier. So translations have happened. Homework has been done. Round of applause for like the effort, the sheer amount of homework that was done.
Thank you. As the history of tattoo progress, tattoos have now become a culture. And more people are eager to get a tattoo from their favorite artist. I also feel indirectly that the social view is changing as to how it was back in the day. But many people still seem to think it's easy to be a tattoo artist. Some prestige people like factories to create tattoo artists. Tattooing is now an art form, and great tattoo artists should be called professional in tattoo industries. But it is true that entry standards have been lowered as awareness of tattoos has improved.
That's phenomenal because as we were discussing side stage, I was doing a little bit of homework as to like the background. Who is legally allowed to give tattoos in South Korea? Right? When I found out about this morning, it was blew my mind. Who are the only group of people legally permitted to give tattoos in South Korea?
Yeah, in Korea, tattoo illegal now. Still illegal. Someone tattoo artist trying to for legal, but he could to the jail.
Right.
Yeah.
So the short version is you need a medical license. If you don't have a medical license, you're not legally supposed to be doing tattooing in South Korea, which is just absolutely ridiculous because the large proportion, and I don't have the stats, but I'm gonna guess that the total number of doctors giving tattoos is probably about 0, give or take 1 or 2, but there are not that many tattoo artists who are legally allowed to be even operating in Korea. So the very fact that this is your art form, which you are practicing, and in your home country, you're not legally allowed to practice that art form. Props, man. Like the amount of strength that you must have. So well done, Jenny. That's really, really cool. I've got the same question, common misconceptions about you and your industry for Sharon.
I think with interior design, a lot of people think that interior designers are about selecting wallpaper after wallpaper, tile after tile.
That's all.
Yeah, but I think there's actually a lot of value and significance in what interior designers do as well. Like for me at Lank, what we try and practice to do is to truly try and add value to the clients, and they are the people that we're trying to design for. Essentially, it's less about today I feel like a minimalist style, and then I do this. Tomorrow I want to look like my design hero, and I do that. So yeah.
There's so much more, and I think that's something that everyone across the stage has in common. You're not just an artist designing for yourself anymore. After a while, once you work with brands, once you work with corporates, once you work with clients, you need to be able to create something for someone else's brief, as well as being true to yourself, right? Because you need to do something that resonates with you. So thank you for disabusing us of the notion that interior designers only choose wallpaper. I've never heard of that one, but ouch. Has there ever been a need to navigate power structures and authority? Same question, same person, Sharon.
Well, I think running a firm, I think a lot of you guys also resonate with this. Structure is something that's very important. And I know this whole work-life balance thing is kind of like the hot topic now, and we hear too much of it already, but I think it's something that's also very real. So you do have to maintain a certain structure within the firm to make sure that the team is happy and the team is motivated, you know. Yeah, so structure is quite key.
Were there any specific challenges for you coming out and starting your own firm from scratch in the area that you're in?
Oh yeah, people are the hardest to manage.
Heck yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So this is the question that Sam knows was coming to him already. Navigating power structures and authority. Would Sticker Lady care to comment?
Who's that?
I don't know, Sam.
Who's that? Died already, but.
Retired.
Well, I mean, come on. I mean, that happened like 10 years ago.
Yes.
And honestly, like, this year is actually the 10th year anniversary of the arrest, huh?
Congratulations.
Ah, sick. But like, anyway, I think now, like, looking at my practice now, I'm doing a lot of like public works and stuff like that. There are a lot of things that we take into consideration, especially when it comes to like creating like works in public spaces, because there are actually some unspoken laws about this. So that's why we kind of like have this struggle with trying to be creating works that are for the client, balancing like our own integrity, and also thinking about all these different like restrictions that we have to face, especially in creating these pieces. Because at the end of the day, it's a social responsibility that we have to uphold ourselves to. And, you know, it's something that there are things like, you know, no nudity, no religious stuff, no
Fair
this
enough.
and that. Yeah, right? I mean, like, you know, these are sensitive topics, but at the same time, I feel a bit conflicted because these things are also important to talk about. So sometimes we find our ways through the gray areas. Like in June, I created a wall for Pride, and it was like a wall like behind like Aliwal Art Center.
Oh, yeah,
so
I
you kind
know.
of have to make like an extra effort to go behind to look for it. And that is so that draws so many parallels to like, you know, for the queer community where you have to find ourselves.
Yes.
Like, you know, that's the space that we make. So yeah.
So on multiple levels, that work seems to have found its intended audience, and even the location of that space, the situation needs to have an additional layer of understanding for it. So that was quite beautiful. But something you said about art and how we do have, in whatever territory you're in, whether the art form in South Korea itself is something that's out of bounds, or whether you're within a specific territory where they have specific sensitivities. What was that old chestnut about how art should comfort the disturbed and disturb the comfort? So comfortable, yes. So I guess everyone on the stage has an idea of like how that needs to be put into place. So while we're still talking about this ideas of like authority and structures and all that jazz, what has been, and I'll ask Jenny this one, what has been the most significant barrier, question 5, the most significant barrier to the entry in your career, and how did you overcome this significant barrier to entry in your career?
Okay. First, since tattooing is illegal in Korea, I had to hide the location of the shop, so working was impossible.
So how
Uh,
did you get clients? If tattooing is illegal, you're not allowed to advertise because your craft is illegal. How did you get clients in?
Only SNS.
Nice. Social network sites.
Yeah, okay. I believe I needed to spread my stance in the tattoo scene so I can gain experience and grow. But it was difficult because there were limited way of advertisement.
Right.
At advertisement. I could overcome that barrier by insisting on a style that is not common in Korea.
Of course.
Even though I could have worked with a more approachable design, but I chose not to compromise. That's why the results seem to be better and more people took interest.
Well, clearly that has been a very, very successful technique because people are coming all over the world to have you do guest shifts in their tattoo shops around the world. People are stalking you on Instagram and all the rest of it to try and get a booking. And I noticed if you go to her Instagram page right now, like the most blessed words that every artist wants to see, bookings full. Go away. I am too popular. So that's fantastic. Congratulations for overcoming those fabulous barriers. I'm just going to go down to Tiffany. Same question. What was the most significant barrier and how did you overcome that barrier to entry?
I feel like that wasn't just one thing. It's just the fact that I did fine art and I didn't study illustration, I guess, in a school. So I didn't have the background to kind of go into illustration. I didn't know how to like contact agencies and stuff like that. So that would have been a significant barrier. And I think I was just lucky along the way from like doing fine art. And I don't know if Sam remembers this too, but she was the one who gave me one of my first exhibitions too. Like,
Real.
Yeah, I curated like Tiffany's first show
That's
together
That
with
was-
another
I love
artist.
these
as
that was
well.
like 12, 11 years ago.
Yeah, I think 2009, about
Okay, 13 years ago.
that. Yeah.
So that was one of the things that I did back then, and then I started showing some works, and then slowly transitioning here and there. I feel like, again, with the first question that we answered, it's all about experience and just finding your way through. So it wasn't like a one-time, that's how I found my way, but like testing different things and then slowly getting into the industry.
I love that callback to that first show 13 years ago. And I think this theme of community and this theme of building space for your people and for each other, that's going to be a theme that I sense is going to come up quite a little bit today. So thank you for broaching that topic. May, same question. What was the most significant barrier and how did you overcome that?
Well, I think for me, the most significant barrier is trying to get respect as a young creative. I think especially when you're trying to pitch ideas to like bigger brands or trying to go into a maybe more commercial setting, it's a lot of finding the confidence to try to do that. And I think especially as a woman and especially young, a lot of times we get overlooked a lot about our ideas. So I think that is a barrier. But again, back to that management is also, I think, now that I have my own agency, I realize managing people, communicating is so important. And that's one of the things that I lacked when I was working at other companies. And so to have that learning and understanding that helped me overcome that barrier. Yeah.
Something that you said earlier really personally resonated. This whole concept of being like young female, therefore like you must be someone's girlfriend or you must be the secretary or the coffee auntie, you know.
Or like they just love to shut us in a meeting, like, wait, like cut you, you know, which is like super annoying. And I think I experienced bringing a guest into a meeting and having the guest saying like, oh, actually no one gives her a say in the meeting room. And I feel like for me, that was my learning experience. I was like, I'm never gonna put any other creative in that position. Yeah.
And I think that's something that we can do. So now that we are at a stage of our lives where we are not like intern level, unless we choose to be in a new industry, we are now able to hold space for people who are coming in. We are now able to, Jenny, I was reading that you still do like the mentoring for like the young South Korean tattoo artists who are coming up. And this is something that is now within our power to do. So I'm really pleased to see that we have a live case study on stage where, Sam and Tiffany's like first show, that was a really powerful thing. This wasn't on like the list, but how do you personally try to hold space for the younger people that you say you're not going to put them in that position? So what steps would have made you more comfortable as a young person, as a young creative, that you are now personally putting into your business? Sharon, you to I'll pop the same question to you after, but what do you personally do?
Well, for us, so we created a creative agency with the sole purpose of supporting the community. And I think for the biggest part of me is that I'm very lucky to have great mentors in my life. So I feel that not everyone is as lucky, and I want to be the person that can teach. And being creative is not just being one extreme way. There's structure, there's balance. The whole entire thing is based off balance. How do we, be creative but also stay efficient and stay professional? So that's something that I've been trying to, invite young people to come over, say, you guys should go and take a course, go and learn. I mean, last time when we started off, there's no such thing as you Google, you can find out all this information. You want to be an artist, you want to be a graphic designer, you just need to Google now and you will find a way to figure it out. And so I just want to keep that positive mindset about creatives, just constantly learning. I think that's super important.
Does anyone else want to jump in on that? Because I feel like we've touched on a live wire subject, so we're going off book right now. Does anyone else want to jump in? Sharon, I know because you have your own company. Is that something that you consciously try to do for the baby industry people coming up? Because we all started somewhere. Everyone started from the same level.
Yeah, I think that the first thing that I realized, and it was a very tall order for me as well, it took me a long time, but I realized we need to stop fighting the younger generation. We need to actually reconcile with it. So it's like, younger generation like that one, no.
Snowflakes, the millennial snowflakes have now found our own snowflake.
I had to stop that tone of voice and really catch myself to. So I think in the same way when we approach the beginning of a project, we start by understanding the clients first, what they want and things like that. And I think same way when approaching the team, or whether is it just anyone else who's wanting to start the same journey, it's just really about hearing them out and understanding, and in that way holding space for them. Yeah.
I think that's important to have that degree of empathy, especially when you know what they might have been going through to begin with the level 1 entryway. So we've been talking about this, how to get the next generation in. So getting back on book, are there any interesting experiences at work that you've encountered and in all that you do, right? So we've been talking about getting new people in, like how difficult it was for you to start. So now that you've started, what are the watermark experiences that you've had? Because we don't want it to be all doom and gloom and like, we didn't have Google, it was really tough getting in. But now that you're in, like good experiences, bad experiences, any experiences, to the whole panel. Okay, whether you got any good experience or bad experience and what you learned from it. I know it's a very vague question, but I just wanted people to have this is the question where you can tell the funny story or the exciting story or the oh my god I can't believe that happened story.
Okay, I don't know if it's relevant or it's correct.
It's always relevant and correct with you, Sam.
Hey. Okay, so after the whole sticker lady thing, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of people. I mean, I did get quite a bit of attention and everything from that. And there was a period of time when I was like, look, I really need to. I mean, I didn't go to art school. I didn't go to design school or anything like that. Everything I did was self-taught. So at that point in time when I got arrested, people thought and expected that I could paint murals already, but I didn't know how to do shit. So basically, I taught myself how to do that. I went on a sabbatical and everything, and people were only calling me in for jobs because of that incident, and that really affected me because I didn't want to be pigeonholed, right? Years later on, as I was in my sabbatical, no one really called me or anything because in Singapore, that's the thing. You gotta keep always being visible.
Top of mind, yeah.
Exactly. If not, they'll forget you, right? And it's so capitalistic that way. But unfortunately, this is the way we live. So later on, right, when I was starting to get the ball rolling again, and I had this gig from shout out to Nike.
Hey,
They
Nike!
actually I was shortlisted to actually create artwork for their permanent Nike flagship store in Singapore.
That's cool.
and it was based on my portfolio, not the sticker lady stuff. And that was amazing for me because for the first time, people could like, I realized this is what I've been looking for and what I've been like waiting for. So that was a great moment.
They were looking at the substance, not just the hype.
Yeah, and that was so important because that was what we want, right? At the end of it, we want to be recognized for the work that we put into it. And so that is a big thing for me.
That's important to get like that sort of validation from the people who matter, from the brands that matter, and for them to look at the right thing. I mean, we're all self-employed. Money is important. Let's not pretend otherwise. But to be brought up and highlighted for the right things, I think that's a very important story. Does anyone else have a life experience story, funny thing that helped you build, that they want to share with the class? And I'm making like frantic eyes at Tiffany, so like we all know we're looking at Tiffany. Yeah, just tell us a story.
A story. Well, I mean, if I were to write on what Sam was saying, at some point when I guess I got more popular was when I was doing henna. And for the longest time, I was also called the henna girl, and I'm like, I do not want to be called that. See? Like, May asked me as well, I remember. So for the longest time, I'm like, no, I don't want to be called the henna girl anymore. I just want to illustrate, so I just completely canned it. I'm like, nah, that's it. I'm done. That may be a funny story, another relation to someone else that remembered me back then.
All right, then we'll pass the too late. We're making frantic eyes.
I literally don't have any funny story.
You got on Netflix.
I mean, okay, other than... Let's not go there. Let's not go there. There's no funny.
So like if you've missed the inside joke, she was part of this Netflix special called Singapore Social. So if that's where you've been like squinting at her, like that's where you know her from. So she's, thank you, properly. It's amazing, yes. So Sharon, any thoughts on this before we go back on book? No, that's fine, that's perfectly fine, because we're having a conversation and we really just want people to get as many stories, as many cool things out of this like time that they have with all of you, because they're not gonna get this opportunity very much anymore. So my next question is, how do you push for change? Because as artistic, as creative people, we all want to do the new, the unconventional, right? But we are still limited by the industry that we're in. We're still limited by the time period that we're in. We're still limited by what our peers may or may not be doing and what is considered acceptable or not acceptable. Does anyone on the panel, this is another open question, have any thoughts about how they navigate this option? How to do this boundary pushing? It's great to just say, let's push boundaries, but how?
I feel like a lot of times I want to remind like young creatives, it's really about like staying grounded and working hard. I think especially with the Gen Zs, everyone has a lot of resources and everyone is super gung-ho, but like, hey, like I think like hard work really shows, and I think that's what people are looking at the end of the day. So I feel this is something that, I think the younger generation needs to be aware. It takes time to get to places.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's not, I mean, we had like jokes. Like when we were teenagers, our parents called us the 3-in-1 generation. They think you just add hot water and poof, success. But I suppose that gets magnified, especially once we get like the life experience to realize, holy heck, it does take time. You need to grind it. It's not just for video games. You need to grind in life as well, right? Any thoughts down the panel? How do we commence the breaking of the boundaries?
Thanks.
Gonna arrow? Very nice.
I think for me and my team, I think what we always do is to remind each other that let's not rebel for the sake of like just being a rebellion. Let's not try and fix something that's not broken, you know. So we always try to use our design as a problem-solving tool. And when that happens, you know, then they realize that the work is for someone else, and it's in that way, it's a little bit, you know, for the greater good. So that drives a sense of purpose and some meaning into the work that we do. So I think that always helps to motivate them and push them when they're like dry and jaded and tired. Yeah.
I like how you did like a double barrel, not just break the boundaries, but how do you refresh when you get tapped out? Because as a creative, that happens all the time, right? You can't be on form and juicy with inspiration all the time. You need to figure out how do you recap. Anyone else want to jump in on like how do you recap with inspiration? How do you find inspiration? It's not on the card. It's not on the card. You don't have to answer. We can get someone else to answer this one because it's not on the cards. Sam, like suddenly very interesting in the back. But how does one like get through a creative drought, a creative dry spell?
Work with people. I don't know. I mean, for me, I'm a lot of. We recently just launched an event for the agency, and one of the best things from the agency that I experienced was collaborating with people and like creating meaningful and mindful collaborations. I think that is so far one of the most like efficient way to break boundaries, come up with new ideas, and I mean just to do things even bigger. Like because together, I feel that's how we can actually make Singapore even more creative and build a culture here instead of everyone eating their own pie. Yeah.
Love that callback to community, which is something that we all have, we all need. And I suppose this is why we've got events like Culture Cartel to come together as a creative community interested in what we are interested in to see how we can lift each other up and just do the things, right? We're going to do the things together. Very uplifting. We like it. Jenny, how do you think, what has helped you in particular get to where you are today, and what advice do you have for people who want to try to do the things that you do, who are interested in doing what you're doing? Because we did talk about this earlier, right? Like how do you even go about inspiring people, and what advice would you have for them?
I don't think one becomes a tattoo artist alone. I learned a lot of new things by interacting with customers who engraved my work on their bodies. I think one needs constant feedback from many people to create your own style. Of course, you have to find your own direction as a creator of your work, but it will take a lot of compromise to decide that direction. As an artist, if the only objective is to gain people recognition that can set you off on a wrong direction, it would be good to balance your subjectivity with other people's opinions and make it your own.
That's so important because we don't create in a vacuum. We create with our clients, we create for our clients, and we create for the people who we hope to see the art and within the context that both you and your client meant to see it in. So that is horrifically important to remember. It is not like a Shok Sindiri project, guys. You're doing it for yourself, for your future selves, for the people around you. It's important. So throwing that open to the floor. Tiffany, what do you think has helped you get to where you are, and what advice would you have for people who are embarking on the same direction? I know you mentioned before that your mother and your grandmother were very instrumental in encouraging you to do the art. And yes, I read everyone's interviews before this. Wow. For a Women's Day article that you were part of. I got research, babe. Auntie got do homework.
That was intense research, but just
18, yeah.
yeah, no, yeah.
I got the date, no.
I think, I mean, on top of everything we've been talking about, community is one big thing. Like, you know, having, I guess, met some of you before and you guys helping me along my journey. And then I guess just community and my family, both are very important in helping me get where I am. Of course, then it's personally my own work and my, hard work starting from, I guess now it's been like 12, 13 years in the industry. So staying consistent there and, failing and accepting failure and just keep on going, because if I were to fail and stop, and that would have been the end. So community, family, and grit, I guess.
That's something that a lot of people forget, right? Like you exist within that family unit, your chosen family, your actual family. It's a never-ending, joyous cycle. Anyone else wanna jump in on that discussion on how do we give thanks? How do we notice and name check the people who helped us get where we are today? Anyone else on the panel want to call out? Advice that, okay, then maybe the second half of the question. So we were looking to the past. How did you guys get to where you are? Now we look to the future. How do you want to light the way for the people who are coming next? The baby Gen Zs who think it's like, I don't know, now it's 2 in 1, not even 3 in 1, right? Like they just click and food comes to their house. So they don't even need to go downstairs, get changed.
Same for us, but we're doing the same thing now as well.
But we grew up with the way it used to be.
Yeah,
we
but
grew up knowing like, oh, I might see someone, better wear a nice shirt. You know?
but I feel like our parents. Okay, that
Or
was
like,
quite funny.
it's true
That was
though.
quite funny. But like I think like our parents probably went through the same thing as well. So it's just about dealing with that change and being adaptable to it, right? I mean, the same way as all these new technologies, they are also coming and playing a part with like our art making and stuff like that. It's about embracing it and using it and elevating it to the next levels. Just the same as how our like predecessors did it, how people are doing it now as well. So I think like I don't think it's really about like. I think what we're worried about when we have conversations like that is about whether we're taking it for granted, or like not paying homage to like how things were done before.
That's true.
But like I also feel like it borders on gatekeeping in a way. If we were to actually take it in the sense that it has to be done this way or that way, right? And we're not allowing for new ways of how this new tech or like these new ways of informing our art practice could be.
And that's limiting, isn't it?
It is limiting. So I think it's to be open-minded about things, is to embrace new things, and it's also like paying respect to the old ways that it's being done, at least knowing how it's being done. Yeah. And acknowledging that the hard work part is super fucking important. Yeah.
So we're running out of time slightly, so I just want to get to like the fun bits, right? If we get into the time machine that's in the car park right now, I think it's like $10 a ride, but if we get into the time machine and you can go back to the start of your career, and this is a question for everyone, what piece of advice would you love to give your younger self? So we're all getting in the time machine, but we get in one at a time.
$10.
$10, correct, yes. What one piece of advice do you have for baby May and baby Tiffany, baby Jenny, baby Sharon, baby Sam?
Don't care what people say or think. Seriously, I know sometimes imposter syndrome is super real, but at the end of the day, it's about what you do with your power that matters, And sometimes people talking about it can really impede that, thinking like, you're doing things wrong or whatnot. I mean, take their words, listen to it, see if there's credibility to it, and then inform your decisions moving forward. But you have to acknowledge that within yourself, you have that power. So, yeah.
So listen, but hear, but don't listen. Or listen and balance it. Just check in with yourself. Use yourself as the litmus test.
Yeah, I think I echo that. I think would say to myself that it's okay to take up space. Imposter syndrome is very real, especially when you're young. You're like, oh no lah, I kind of got lucky, things like that. Well, that's one thing. Second thing is I tell myself, don't spend all your money on like alcohol and parties and all that. Like
I feel really called out.
no
Oh my
regrets
God.
though, but like take it easy.
Jenny, what about you? What advice would you give to yourself?
I never regret to my best. So don't forget that you have the power to overcome everything in my mind and have fun.
So important to have fun. Like that's why we're doing what we're doing. Tiffany?
Well, I think that I would definitely tell myself to stay a bit more true to myself. Because I guess with the transition for me, I do feel like I've lost to myself in commercial work a little bit. And yeah, I think putting away money when I'm when I'm younger, it's a huge thing.
Spot the grown-ups. Spot the grown-ups. This hashtag adulting business is not what it's cracked up to be, guys. All right, words for baby May.
Well, I would tell myself not to drop out of school. That's the one. You should have finished school. But yeah, I feel like all of you had really great points about I think being a creative and the imposter syndrome thing is actually very strong. Of course, we want the opinion of others, but I think it's very important as a creative and as an artist that you remember why you are doing the work and who you're creating for. It's really for the art. It's not for anybody. It's for yourself, right? And so I think doing that as a youngster, you gotta really keep that in mind. We all say we don't care what people say, but like, you know, as a youngster, I think when you don't have that kind of confidence, it affects you quite a fair bit.
Absolutely.
Yeah, find great mentors, find great people that will support you, and take up space. Yeah.
Take up space. And if you would like to take up some of their space on social media, we're running out of time, but if you have been moved by something that you've heard today, if you want to follow up with a question, what you can do is you can follow all of these great people on Instagram. We're going to do an Instagram roll call, and then we'll wrap it up for today. If you want to follow May, her socials are...
Marxme, MARXMAE.
Perfect. And Tiffany?
Lovage, Lovage.
Jenny, how do they find you on SNS?
Here, Jenny, HEEYAJENNY.
H-E-E, two E's, H-E-E-Y-A-J-E-N-N-Y.
Cherin Tan, CHERINTAN.
C-H-E-R-I-N. So if you haven't, this is the time you should be taking out the phone and quietly doing the follows. Yeah, so Sharon Tan. And then we've got, that is her government name, yes. And if you want to follow Sam,
Sorry, thanks, man.
share, kids, share.
It's SKL0_.
SKL0_. My name is Audrey Lim. If you want to be friends with me, I am at Audrey is Audrey. Could I please get everyone's indulgence? Big round of applause for my panel of very, very talented boundary breakers. We have an entire...
Wait, can y'all do it one more time?
Okay, then you tag us, Then we... Okay, one more time. One more time for the incredible boundary breakers on the stage. Make it good for the gram, right? All right, that's perfect.